She finally pissed me off bad enough that I was like, you know what it is? I want to fucking die. That's what it is. I don't want to be, since you want to be in my business so bad, I want to die every day I get up and I don't want to be here. And it freaked her out, rightfully so.
Rightfully so,
She
yeah.
called my grandmother immediately at 4 o'clock in the morning to come over. And we're all crying, we're doing the thing.
I will do a quick introduction while we wait for Dina to show up. We have Nisi, who is AKA iPhone 88.
You know what? You know what? You're not going to do that to me.
Oh, here goes.
I'll fix my name. You give me
please, because I'm going to be thrown off the whole time.
Just tell all her business.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm going to highlight you and I'll be like, wait, y'all, wait for iPhone 88.
iPhone 88. Don't do me. That's what you're not going to do.
Yeah, we're all here. Hi, Dina.
Hey, sorry, you guys. I had an open house today.
Yes.
All right,
so
ladies,
go ahead, my love.
You are all here. You are all present. I want to start by thanking you for hopping on this panel. Like I said a little earlier, when it was just Chi and D here, I was like, I'm acting like this is going to be a 1-episode thing. Nah, I'm gonna have to call y'all back sooner rather than later to continue the topic. But I did unnaturally create an agenda. Will we stay on topic? We'll see where the conversation goes. But I did previously do a men's roundtable on mental health, and I felt like it was only fair that we get a chance to voice our opinion on mental health, and especially in Black women, as the world is in 2023. But what I will say, shout out to this panel because it is very diverse. We have moms, we have wives, we have daughters, we have caretakers, we have we will get a perspective from everybody no matter where they are in life. So I will give everybody a quick second to introduce yourself. You don't necessarily have to go deep in. You can say your name. You don't have to say your age because as women, it's 25 plus period. Once you hit that part, it don't matter. But I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves and we will hop right into the episode.
I don't mind going first. I am Chi. I am a first-time mother. I would love to be 25 again.
You aren't.
At heart, yes, I am. But being a mama now, life is different. It is ever changing. So mental health is a huge priority for me now. 8 months into this game. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I'm Dina. I am not a biological mom, but I am a dog mom, and I'm proud.
That counts. That counts.
I am a psychotherapist in the evening, and I run an emotional impairment strand in a Boston public school. So my plate's pretty full. I'm also a former caretaker for my dad that recently passed a few months ago.
I'm sorry to hear that, boo. Dianna.
Okay, I'm Dianna. I am also not a mother, but I am an auntie and a sister. I am also a public health professional. I actually right now work in HIV, that space. I'm an HIV prevention and outreach specialist. So I go out into the community and educate about HIV prevention, predominantly with women and girls of color. And I'm new to Florida. I'm a Floridian, so I live in Orlando, Florida. And now that is me in a nutshell. Oh, and I'm a podcaster. We'll talk about that later. But yes, podcaster, public health professional, girls girl. That's like my tagline. I'm a girls girl. So yeah.
Come on, Nisi Poo.
Hey y'all. My name is Shanise. People call me Nisi. I am my occupation. I'm an executive assistant to the directors at Blue Cross Blue Shield and Health Equity. Trying to help our people, put us in the right direction of all inequities amongst us, especially in the healthcare field. I am a mother of a dope 7-year-old. Just taking it one day at a time. Well, let me be very clear. I'm a single mother of a dope 7-year-old. Because not saying that, You know, having both parents is amazing and godsend. Not everybody has the privilege, but I can say that I'm doing this by myself and I'm doing
Ciao.
this for her to the best of my ability. So big up all single moms, big up all single dads, big up every household that has both parents, because again, it is a blessing. But I party.
Yes.
I
You
make
live your
sure
life.
As you
Absolutely.
gotta
should.
even it out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But Shou knows me and her
I
used to
know.
party. Hey,
Ciao. Listen, we could talk all day about this, but we're gonna
I
hop
know.
into we're gonna hop into mental health. And I think it's dope that we openly can have these conversations now because, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I do feel, I mean, so I'm of Haitian descent and growing up in a Caribbean household, and I feel like, and I have a lot of African American friends growing up in a Black household, we don't talk about mental health. You are right. You need to, we were conditioned to move in silence, take pain in silence. You're not allowed to complain. And I would love to hear from your perspectives, even whether it was growing up, where did you eventually see the opportunity to cross that line and say, no, this is not okay. I need to speak about my pain. I need to, whether it was going to professional help, seeking counseling, or finding your own self-care treatments, when did you officially take that step and say, enough is enough? I need to learn to not only just take care of me, but love me. Go ahead, Nisi.
I think that happened for me when I was pregnant. So that happened, my daughter's 7, so that happened recently. Like, I've always been a person that that knows about how they feel inside. I was never a stranger to saying how I felt, what I didn't like from what I did like. But mental health became a huge part of my life when I got pregnant with my daughter. My situation wasn't something that I wanted. Who goes to be with someone and then end up a single mother? You know what I mean? So when you're with someone and things change drastically and now a whole person is involved, you have to make that self-conscious decision to be like, I'm really gonna do this by myself. Bet. So you go through those 9 months, you go through all the extra stuff that it brings, you know, and then labor and delivery. Child, labor and delivery is a totally different type of situation. I'm thankful that I had the people in my life that was there for me to coach me through that. But baby, you have to truly be in tune, in the words of Cat Williams, with your star player. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because at the end of it all, when you get inside this room or this hospital or whatever, however you see fit, there's going to be a lot of choices that you're going to make, not only for yourself, but for that baby. And there's some moments where these people don't want to listen to you because, you know, they're doctors, so they know everything, but you know yourself, you know? So this baby's born, and then you have, was it post-traumatic syndrome or however?
Postpartum depression.
Postpartum, thank you. You have postpartum, and then you're still trying to grasp, like, I'm responsible for a whole person for the rest of my life. It wasn't until I want to say my daughter was about 6 months, my first boyfriend, one of my best friends, he was murdered. And I was a mother that breastfed. My milk dried up because I was
stressed.
It was just a traumatic experience because it happened so suddenly. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I couldn't feed my child. I barely wanted to eat myself. There was just so many things that was transpiring. And that's why I was like, you know what? I need help. I need something. I need somebody to tell me something. And I was able to, you know, speak with friends. I did reach out to some doctors. My little sister Elizabeth, she put me on to this therapy thing. I forgot what it's called, like Black Girl
Therapy
Therapy.
for Black girls.
Yes, yes. And
That's where I found my therapist.
Oh, right now, because that's where I found mine. And I was able to have these conversations, because what people fail to realize is we depend on the people around us so much, but everybody around us have their own stuff to deal with. And then you feel like a burden. Then you don't want to tell people everything, because then you're afraid they're going to tell your business to somebody else. And that's confidential stuff.
Or judge you.
And there's no room for that. Not right now, not how I'm feeling, the way I'm feeling, and I need you to lean on. So guess what? I'm going to lean on somebody else, rightfully so. And people fail to realize that's okay. It's okay for you to lean on other people. It's okay to get outside help. You don't want to feel judged. You don't want to feel that you're burdening somebody else with your issues. You just don't want to feel that overwhelming, oh no, I can't, I don't know. There's just so many questions and stigmas that come with mental health. But we really and truly as a people need to get past that. Yeah. Because if we don't have it up here, we don't have it at all. Because life already is hard. We need to find the simplest ways to make things as easy as possible. So with that being said, when I had my daughter, and I went through that traumatic experience with one of my good friends, that's when I knew I needed to seek help. And even more so till this day, like my little sister, my god sister just passed away, my baby.
I'm sorry, boo.
Thank you. And that's something that I never thought in a million years. I was on vacation when I got the news. So imagine being as far away from your loved ones and you hearing something as traumatic as that. Oh yes, I had to figure out my life, because I literally just posted, depression is real. People want to try and kick that stuff under the rug. No, we don't have the time or the capacity for that. So those three things definitely shaped me into who I am. And not only that, but made me realize like outside help is very much necessary.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Who's next? I know don't nobody want to follow up from that.
I wasn't trying to go too deep, but if we go in there, we go in there.
Listen, I want to
put it out there.
I can give mine. I've always been the caretaker, whether it's for family, whether it's for friends, whether it's for a coworker. I'm always the person that you go to when you want something handled, and handled well. And that's always been my character. So we are in 2023. So I lost both my parents in November of 2020. I didn't even want anybody to come over. Let me tell you something about Chi right here. I literally didn't want to tell anybody what time. So my mother caught COVID and, they had to take her off the ventilator. And I wasn't telling anybody what time. The minute she passed, this woman over here was outside my door. And I'm like, I have COVID. She had the whole PPP mask on and everything. She wasn't playing with me. But these are the type of people that you need. So I lose my mother early November. My father passes 3 weeks after that. And then I find out I'm pregnant like 6 weeks after that. So I have a cousin who I love to death. And I went into zombie mode, robot mode. I was just functioning. I can't tell you like any events of my life between November and December 2020. And it's funny because when she was getting pregnant, she asked, she goes, oh, what did you do, before you found out you were pregnant? Girl, I don't know. I can't tell you anything about that time frame. I have no recollection. I know that I was awake. I know that bills were being paid. I know food was on the table. Everything was getting done. How was it getting done? No clue. I get pregnant and I have a cousin who tells me, let me tell you something. All of this right here is a mask. And I need you to take a moment, whether it's go sit in a corner and cry, or whether it's to unplug and go on a vacation, because you cannot hold all of this in. And because not to say I didn't believe in mental health, I didn't believe that it can happen to me. Because as my therapist loves to remind me, I'm overly structured. I plan every single detail of my life out. From 8 a.m. technically 4 a.m. when I wake up till it's time to go to bed. Everything is written out, checklist. So I didn't have time for emotions. I didn't have time for grieving. I didn't have time to sit down and process the loss that I just encountered. And then on top of that, I find out I'm pregnant. And I tell everybody that Ramses saved my life, because it wasn't until I found out I was pregnant where I snapped out of zombie mode. Have the baby, don't really have time for postpartum, because I'm just like, everything is structured. I got to do this. He's supposed to eat every couple of hours. I want to say he was 4 months old. I pull my clothes out of the dryer, go into the room, put the clothes on the bed to fold them. Y'all, I just started crying. I literally just broke down, started crying. My husband sat there and looked at me and was like, I mean, I could fold if you need me to fold. And I was just like, I can't do this. It's too much. That next day, I got on Therapy for Black Girls, found somebody, but she wasn't taking anybody new. And I was just like, God, I finally found somebody who's Haitian, so she'll be able to understand the toxicity of what I grew up with. I was like, I sent the inquiry just on a whim. She emailed me back, and I have been seeing her since September. And honestly, it has been the best decision. We grew up shying away from therapy. You're not supposed to be in therapy. Therapy is for crazy people. Therapy is for people who don't got their lives together. Therapy is for people who just want to waste their money for someone to tell them something they already know. No. You need that outside opinion to sit here and tell you, and they don't know you from a hole in the wall, to tell you, is there any other way you could have done this better? How did that did you create, but I'm learning about boundaries. I'm 36 years old, just now learning about boundaries, because I grew up in a world where you're supposed to serve everybody that comes into your corner, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member. This family member could be the worst person, the most toxic human being, but that's your family. So you need to stick by them and give them no. Like, no has become my favorite word. And I would have never gotten there had it not been for me accepting the fact that I need to dig into my mental health. And I won't say unlearn, because you can't necessarily unlearn, you can adjust, but adjust what I grew up thinking and feeling and what I was conditioned to do or think or move.
I can go next. For me, I graduated from college in 2016, got my bachelor's degree, went to my dream school, all of that. But when I got done with school, I had to go back home. I had to go back home and live with my mom, which is not a big deal, love my mom. But I was always a very high achiever, went to school on scholarship, all of that. And then I couldn't find a job. I was working at a restaurant, and this is like not shade to anyone that works at a restaurant. I love working at a restaurant. But that was never what I imagined my life to be. I'm like, I went to college. I did the things. I did what I was supposed to do. And I live at home. What's up? So I had to do an extra semester. So I got done in December of 2016. So for the first 3-4 months, I was cool. I was working with my restaurant friends. We were vibing. By the summertime, I was in the darkest place of my life, because I wasn't talking to anyone about how awful I was feeling about myself. I was going through a phase where I was doing makeup all the time, loved doing makeup. I would beat my face to the gods to go to work. But underneath, I was dead inside. I look back on pictures of the picture that I would take of my makeup for the day, skin dry as hell. There's no life in my eyes. And it just started getting worse and worse. And by the fall, I was arguing with my mom, constantly, because there was something going on, but I didn't want to say that. So we were just at each other's throats. One night, I stayed the night at my boyfriend's house a little bit too late, because even though I was grown, it was never giving that. So she calls me. I fell asleep over there. She calls me 2 o'clock in the morning. Where you at? Da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm grown, but I went home. We got into a big altercation. It was a whole thing. And finally, she got me to the point, which I love my mom, forever grateful for my mother. She finally pissed me off bad enough that I was like, you know what it is? I want to fucking die. That's what it is. I don't want to be. Since you want to be in my business so bad, I want to die. Every day I get up and I don't want to be here. And it freaked her out, rightfully so.
Rightfully so,
She
yeah.
called my grandmother immediately at 4 o'clock in the morning to come over. And we're all crying, we're doing the thing. And I had an appointment to see my primary care provider, already. So I go in, and I used to go to when I lived in my hometown, there was a clinic that it was like a low income clinic. I went because, well, at the time, low income, but also like I had always gone there. So I continued to go there. And one of the things that they tried to do as like a really good community health clinic, which I wish they got more funding, but they had behavioral health specialists that would come in and they would ask you like general questions, like, are you struggling with this? Are you struggling with that? So like, let's say that happened with my mom on like a Thursday. Monday, I had my appointment, but I had pulled it back together because that's what you do. I pulled it together. A girl came in and she said, have you thought about harming yourself? And I was bawling. I was like, yep, you got me. So they bring in somebody else. And so I start taking antidepressants. They get me on medicine, and that does help. So 2017, I start being medicated. I start mentally being able to pull myself together as far as like mood and functioning. Then 2020 happened, the pandemic hit. That was awful. I was not an essential worker, but I've worked. I was off for like a month because of this. I worked prior to working in public health, I worked in fitness. So the facility that I worked at closed, but because it wasn't like a box gym. I did corporate wellness, whatever. I still had to work. So I was off for about a month, went back to work. And then by the fall, during like the presidential elections, something happened with my sister. My sister lived in Chicago, and she got like accosted on the street. I have a great brother-in-law. My sister lives very well. And she was like literally in her own neighborhood, and she was accosted by like a man who was like asking her, are you supposed to be like real? It was giving very much 1950s, 19s. It was weird. And that just broke something in me. I was like, my sister can't even walk down the street. And something about that just broke me. And I then was like, you know what? It's this, not that it wasn't sad, but she was fine. I was more broken up and scared and anxious and all these things. And I was like, this should never have affected me the way that it did. And just everything that was going on in the world, COVID, people were so at each other's throats. Everything was so tense. It was so ugly. I'm an empath. So every day I just felt like the world was on my shoulders. So finally I was like, I need professional help because this is not okay, because I don't want to get back to where I was 3 years ago, but I also know that this isn't living either. I'm too young and too full of life in theory to be feeling this heavy and sad all the time. So I got into therapy, and I've been with the same woman, wonderful Jamaican woman, since that, let's say that happened to my sister on like a Wednesday. By that next week I had an appointment. I was like, I gotta do something immediately. So, and yeah, we've been rocking together ever since. That's my girl. Shout out to Miss Karen. And yeah, it's been a beautiful thing, because I feel like I was always a person, like I said, a high achiever. Always looking back now, I've probably been anxious since I was 5. Like I just have always carried that with me. Also very predisposed to depression. My mother, my grandmother. So like it was always probably on me or in me. But again, growing up in the 1990s, early 2000s, wasn't nobody trying to take especially their child, to therapy. Like, oh, she's fine. I remind my family, luckily my mother's very receptive, that like I was often labeled as like having a bad attitude, or, oh, she got a smart mouth. No, what I had was an opinion and probably a little bit of depression.
Yeah.
It was just a lot. It was just a lot always. So with that, of course, nobody was taking me to therapy or even trying to figure out what was wrong. Why does a 7-year-old have such an attitude? Why is she, what's going on? So yeah, I was grateful that I finally took it upon myself to figure out what's going on with me, because this is, again, I'm too young and there were actually so many good things going on in my life, and I just was not in the moment with those good things. I was like, this can't be life. This can't be my life.
Nope. You're like, I got to fix it. Chi and Dina, who wants to go?
I don't mind.
Go ahead.
So I'm grateful you guys shared your stories. So mine, I feel like it's kind of like chapters. I feel like it's, when you say unlearned, usually just even in my practice with other people and even with myself, I call it the new normals. So for me, it was a bunch of new normals. It happened for years, and just in terms of like growing up, my mom was very, what's the word? Strict. I know she's strict. My mom had a little bit of like the American side of her, but she wasn't a person, like I said, it's not that she didn't love me. It was in the sense of Haitians feel like love comes through, I fed you, I clothed you, I gave you money, you're fine. But
you're alive. I kept you alive.
I kept you alive, and I beat you. I beat the shit out of you. Sorry for my French. And that's it. And for me, it was actually a lot of things that I kind of like held in. And my father, wasn't someone you couldn't really talk to until he kind of got ill in the last couple of years. So for me, my first thing was high school. And my first, again, dealing with like at home and my mother not understanding me and understanding like the stresses, again, being in a predominantly white school. My father doing his business out in the community. My father was a very attractive man. And he used to bring his, again, rest his soul is nothing in a negative way about him, but he had loved his women. And I used to get into a lot of arguments with the women's children. And that was like one thing I kind of held, and I couldn't tell my mom because she was working like 2 or 3 jobs, and then I would get in trouble. So it's kind of like that mixed thing. So I couldn't say anything. And then if I said something and then I went to my aunt about it, it would create this whole chaos. So it was just like that continuous like turmoil. So I remember in high school, I ended up getting sexually assaulted my junior year. And some things that happened, kind of that trauma that continuously kept happening on that date, April 15th every year. So I'm thinking I'm big and bad, holding it inside and not understanding that it was trauma, right? So we couldn't say anything. So I remember every year, April 15th, my body would kind of just keep going through it over and over again until I got to my freshman year in college. And I kind of just broke down, and I just had a meltdown on that day. And my former roommate, who I went to middle school with, didn't understand that. And I think that's something where we all didn't talk about like what mental health was. And I just started just crying. And, there was some healing that was done with some of my former college roommates down the line where they apologized. Because again, it's the lack of education that this generation gets to receive in terms of mental health. But at that time, they were making fun of me about it. So I ended up leaving my freshman year after finishing and transferring to another college, which my mom just thought I just wanted to move, but it was really because of my mental health and I just, dealing with that. And I ended up seeing a counselor primarily, and we started dissecting. But then the problem was I wasn't connecting. I didn't know you could fire therapists, right? So this is the new normal, but I couldn't tell my mom I was doing a process to dealing with because we were arguing. A chunk of that. So I couldn't tell her that your mouth really like impacted me. And again, it's something that we're still continuously going through, and kind of with my dad, and that's still a continuous thing, and continuously watching the infidelity and then seeing the sexual assault kind of coming over and over and over again.
Right.
So I was done. So after that, graduated college, made it through. I don't even know how, mentally working 2 jobs. My former very, very close friend, close to the family, ended up getting murdered. And it was pretty big in Boston. It happened in Fenway. For some reason, we never argued since we were kids. And then literally 1 week before, we got into this biggest argument, where he ended up going to Who's On First. And I usually drag him to like Haitian events with me. So we used to go to Plugale on Thanksgiving, keep it short. And that year he decided to go to Who's On First alone. And I kind of blamed myself, and his mom yelled at me that day and was like, why weren't you guys together? Because they thought I was with him downtown and I was, and I ended up going to Plugale with my cousins, and he was shot in the head. So I would say my new normal again was I wasn't functioning, and I didn't know how to function. And I didn't know what depressive symptoms were, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to grad school. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to study. And this is before I started studying to be a therapist. And I was like, okay, I'm fine. But then I just stopped paying bills. I stopped functioning. I kind of let myself go. I was lashing out. I was arguing with people. I was just not me. And then months went by. And then I was like, I went to the doctors primarily, and she was like, would you like to talk to someone? I started to talk to someone. We started to relate. But then I realized, again, this is the second time I'm seeing a white woman. This is a white woman that did not relate, and I felt like she was competing with me. Started to turn into like this mother role. And then I was like, I'm all set. So I ended up terminating the relationship with her. I ended up learning and kind of reading stuff to kind of process and grieve through stuff, learning like different, stuff along the way, because grad school helped me in the sense to figure out what worked for me in terms of like coping skills and still processing that. So a lot that worked for me during that time with that new normal, again, was just writing. The next new normal for me, because now looking back at it and kind of just processing and looking even through her notes, she never told me that I had symptoms of depression at that time. So fast forward, after grad school, I graduated grad school in 2018. with my first master's. Soon after April, I had like the weirdest dream. I don't know how you guys feel about dreams, but I knew my father was sick that way, and my dad thought I was crazy. And I said, Daddy, you're sick. And I had the weirdest thing. And he was really sick. He had stage 4 cancer. And that was the new role, because my father, and not just with my father, my whole family, fix it. You fix it. You know how to do this. This is why we sent you to school. You know how to do this. You do it. And I don't know if it's a Haitian thing, but because you're the first generation, the firstborn, and it's that continuous pressure. So I graduated with a 4.0. And again, it's, are you going to go be a doctor? Where's your PhD? That was the next thing. And it was just the pressure.
Because they never satisfied. They never satisfied. Which trickles on to you being satisfied with yourself and continuously finding something to do, an achievement, an achievement, an achievement, an achievement. Go ahead, sorry. Triggered.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm done. And I applied to grad school. Grad school to get my PhD. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, I was like, I don't need this. Am I doing this? I started to get to the point of like, am I doing this for them, or am I doing this for me? And then obviously in terms of like health with my dad, I basically primarily kind of started getting more involved because he started becoming more dependent, where it was in the sense of finances, it was in the sense of organizing stuff, it was a sense of me taking time off of work because the dynamic wasn't the best. You know, for a lot of Haitian parents at a certain age, and even if it's toxic, till death do you part, they start sleeping in separate rooms, and they start, again, it just becomes this toxicity that came over and over again. So some of the comments that was kind of affecting me was, you know, people like, are you your dad's wife? And I was like, no. And the reason I say that is because it kind of triggered me in the sense, because my father was really codependent. There was conversations where it was a lot for me in the sense that he would come to me about it versus talking to my mom. And I felt that was the role. So that created another burden. And then kind of, instead of not not releasing it, I started to gain weight. And it wasn't in the sense of, I would say, eating in the sense of that. I would say it was more stress related. And that's when I started to rely on my providers. And I was like, I need to get therapy. And I said, I can't be practicing and not following through. And that was one of the biggest things as well. So again, I continuously go to therapy. Even though I'm in a better space, I still grieve. Don't get me wrong. I think in this new normal for me, I was more prepared in the sense that I had all my providers involved. I know there was a heavy conversation with a lot of my cousins. Luckily, we're all in the same bracket, and I say this wholeheartedly, especially for Black women that I see. And as a Black woman myself, it is okay to say you need help. That's one of the new normals that I've learned throughout the years, and that us as Black women, even Afro-Caribbean women, we don't ever ask for help.
Nope.
You have to hold it in. And I, you know, again, I look like foolish one in front of some of my family members. And I know even just having with the growth of my mom as well and my uncle, it was a very difficult conversation. But at some point, with grieving, I decided to, you know, maybe I do need a depressive medication, which I did take temporarily, and I was weaned off in order to grieve, because people are like, how did you do it? And it was the help of my prescribing
your medical team,
my whole team. And I dealt with it, and I'm still dealing with it, and it's just one of those things that, again, just progressing with the new normal.
Chi?
If I just
go ahead.
And no, just to
piggyback,
just to say to Dina, I just want to let you know, it's not just a Haitian thing, Mama.
Child, no.
It's not just a Haitian thing.
Agreed.
It's not. I'm right. I'm half Haitian, and but my father was a Rolling Stone, you know, and okay, Shou knows. I told her about it. He was definitely a Rolling Stone. So the person that raised me was a Jamaican man, you know. So it's the culture, you know, because it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. When a parent, I feel like when a parent sees that you can get the job done, you gonna get the job done, because they're gonna be extremely dependent on the person that's going to make it happen, that they know for a fact is gonna be like, nope, if I tell her this, she's gonna do it. If I have questions, she's gonna answer it, or she's gonna look into it. it's just it's just what it is. I just feel like, yeah, I don't feel because look at the Asian community.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same way. Like, if not, I don't know if they worse than Haitians. I don't know. Say it again.
I'm saying the suicide rates in that community are pretty high as well.
Because they have to keep themselves at that standard. They look to them to do so much. Because honestly, predominantly, I'll just cut it off after this. Predominantly, they're looking for nothing but doctors, lawyers. You can't be nothing but that.
Absolutely.
So I feel like especially West Indian communities, any island, any place, if you're that child that a parent can depend on, this is your burden now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chi.
She thinks because she knows she got a hard stop at 9 o'clock. She thinks she gonna easily just roll out of here. No, ma'am, you gonna speak.
No, it's okay. I can relate to everything everybody has said. I think I have been through the gamut of things in life. I grew up Nigerian American, so strict is an understatement when you talk about Nigerians. I mean, kneeling on rice, holding books for hours, different forms of torment.
Discipline. What they say is what they made us believe was discipline.
AKA discipline.
But it's not. But go ahead.
Makes you think that you can't have any mental issue. You shouldn't have any, worries and therapist. Bringing that word up in my house was like saying the devil came in the house. Like, you
about to talk to a stranger about our business?
Hello, hi. No.
You're gonna tell them what?
They're gonna come get you, and you're gonna be in somebody else's house, and they're gonna treat you worse.
Oh yeah. So
the biggest threat, they're gonna take you away from us.
Oh yeah.
They want to take you.
But I got to the point where I was like, okay, maybe I should say something so they do take me, because it became overwhelming. I mean, to the point where you're writing in a diary and you can't even keep it to yourself because
they're reading your diary. Yep, that happened to me.
And it makes you feel smaller than small. Like, breaking you it doesn't describe how you feel shattered into pieces, because the privacy that you thought you had or could have in such a sacred book is no longer private. So all the things you have in your head that you're trying to write down to help yourself, because you can't get that outside help, is no longer helpful. So then where do you turn? I turned to high school, everything you could imagine. I've done everything. I did everything. And I look back on it. I tried therapy in high school. I thought it worked. You convince yourself that, oh yeah, I feel good, I feel fine. And then you go back to your old ways and drinking and doing all the things. Then I tried it again in college. And college, I was like, oh, I'm on my own. I could do what I want now. Yeah, I went ham. I almost flunked out freshman year. Flunking out is not an option in a Nigerian home. You're either a doctor, a lawyer, or a doctor, because those are the only choices. Okay? Those are the only choices. So when you come home and you say, yeah, I might get kicked out. What?
Kicked out of what?
The beating that I got in college, it's like you're never able to grow up and be an adult. You're not. And so I tried counseling again, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm good. I threw myself into sports. I threw myself into traveling, threw myself into books, everything, so that I didn't have to be at home. And then college was over and I had to go back home. I got this meaningless, worthless job, but I hated it, because then they were like, where you going? What time? Who you going with? Wait, I got rules in my house. And I'm like, whoa, wait, I'm a whole adult. I've been doing this for 4 years, going out, what you mean? That didn't work for me. So I took the first paycheck, $700 some odd measly dollars, and got an apartment with this girl who had a disability But I wasn't thinking, because I was like, I just need to get out because I'm going to break again. That didn't work out. I had to come back home, fell right back into the same trap. Tried counseling again. I think I've tried counseling 4 to 5 times, lost a baby through it, tried counseling again, and it only stuck this last time. I'm currently in counseling because postpartum depression
Child.
has been one of the hardest things I'll ever go through in my life. And they don't prepare you for this. Nothing prepares you for postpartum. And a lot of people go through it differently. And I'm not going to say that it's always bad or negative or what have you. Some people have great experiences. I just didn't. I didn't. I got sick. The breastfeeding was a journey, the most painful thing I've ever done. Just all the things that I thought I should have been prepared for. I thought that family would have prepared me for, instead of telling me, be a doctor. Yeah, like, why didn't you prepare me for this? They say, have kids. It'll be fun.
We
No,
got
no.
you. We can't wait. Go
Mm-mm.
get pregnant.
And yeah, would I do it again? I say I'm one and done because I'm not sure mentally I'm ready to do it again. I think through this journey and keeping with counseling, if I get to a point where I feel like I'm back at 95% of myself, I might consider doing it again. But right now, no.
Well,
I'm
hold
still
on.
trying to figure out who I am.
I'm gonna cut you off for a second because I tell you this almost on a daily basis. I need you to be a little more graceful.
I know.
And that 95% is pre-mama chi.
I know.
You got to cut that 95 down by like maybe 75.
You know what it is? I'm scared of who the new me is. I think that's what it is. I'm scared of trying to understand and figure out who the new me is, because what if I'm not the same? Like, I feel like I've lost a whole portion of myself. So now building the new part that's scary because I don't know what that looks like. You know?
How old's your baby?
She's 8 months old.
8 months? Okay. So I'm just gonna say
she's a mommy vet. The mommy vet.
You know, thank you. Thank you. Because honey, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
None of us.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, even outside of being a mom, just being a woman, none of us know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing.
But we're making it work.
Something, and we are. But 8 months, it's there's so much change. Like, I'm trying to remember, but there's just so much change. And what I would like to say to you is, you will never be the person you were before. Never.
And that's not a bad thing.
And
you have that fear.
Listen to me now. That is not a bad thing, to say the least, because you know what this does for you, Chi? It gives you the opportunity to reinvent yourself.
Like
Okay?
Dina said, new norms. Dina was talking about it, new normals.
Absolutely. It gives you the opportunity to reinvent yourself in a sense. You are going to learn from this baby. This baby is going to teach you, and you are going to find who you are. Because I promise you, I don't know what life was before my child. I can't remember. I see these memories come up on Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram, like, oh, look at me.
While snatched. Back in the day when we was snatched.
What was I doing?
Going out to parties till the sunrise.
Oh my God. Going to the parties and then still going to the parties, then leaving the parties and going to work. Oh, going to work.
Yeah, that part.
And being up.
That part.
You are going to be the best. And I'm saying this to you because I know it's a fact. You are going to be the best person for yourself and for your child. And I say that because you have nothing but space and opportunity to do so. Right? You have nothing but space and opportunity to do so because it's just you and that baby. that baby is dependent on you, and sad to say, you are dependent on that baby because how you think before is not how you think now. You move around your child, around the best interest of your baby. You understand? But the one thing that my best friend always told me, she was like, you know, always take time for yourself. Because my daughter, we like this. Like, we're like this. Like, if you see how you see me, like, we're extremely clingy. And one thing that's happened was that she went to Atlanta for the whole summer. For the first time, she was away from me. When I tell you I cried. But it was so necessary because of how close we were. If we didn't get that opportunity to be away from each other, I wouldn't have found myself again. So just know, even though it's still brand new, trust me, you're going to see so many awesome things with your baby, and you're going to see so many awesome things with yourself. Take the time, be kind to yourself.
I do try. I really do try.
I know it's a struggle, but be kind to yourself, because that's one thing that we as women, we're so hard on us. We don't give ourselves enough grace. We don't give ourselves enough praise. We don't give ourselves enough time to be like, you know what? I cleaned the bathroom today.
I did that shit. Hey,
I did that shit in 30 minutes and the baby still asleep. What you talking about?
You know
what I mean?
Yep.
It's
be
funny you
kind
said
to yourself, my sister.
Yes.
Be kind to yourself.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say something really quickly. Like, one of the things that I've gotten into the habit, and I share this with like a lot of my clients as well, is always giving, I use this word called grows and glows. So three things, and I do this every night as well, just to kind of heal from, you know, just again, what you're going through and anyone's going through, is 3 ways that you could have grown today and how you could have done things a little bit better. And then 3 ways that you've glowed, like, and it's just some small positive things, just to let you know, if you're going to continue looking for the old you, you're going to continue to have your symptoms increase, because you're never going to go back to the old you. And that's the why I always say you're always going to progress with your new normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nisi, you made me think that I went to a fashion show years ago, and the woman that was hosting it said something like super remarkable. She said to the women in the audience, if we spoke to our friends the way we talk to ourselves or about our bodies, we would have no friends. We would have no friends. Let me tell y'all one thing.
Right.
D started talking and I started tearing up, and I said, we're not going to cry, because I didn't give anybody no disclaimer about crying.
Right? This was not supposed to happen.
Talking. Then Nisi started talking. Now she's wiping her eyes. I got a teardrop right here, but I refuse to let it go down. It's not going to come down. I'm not letting it happen.
I ain't there yet.
But
girl, you're not making me care. I got a couple more lashes to last till Saturday.
but this moment right here, it falls into what we're talking about. And it's gonna fall in. And I don't know if you're gonna hang out with us a little longer past 9, but I know you got to go. But
I got a few minutes.
Okay. Going into that theory that's been circling about the dominant female. Now, Nisi, you posted about a situation that you have. We've all come in contact with that, and you know, I do want to touch on it a little bit. And Chi and I had it wasn't necessarily an argument. It was a lovely discussion at the people's brunch party
with Bozo.
Yeah.
Not Bozo.
He approached, and I'll start it up. He went to Chi and told her pretty much that he questioned why she was wearing a man's watch, and said that, I feel like because you're wearing a man's watch that I'm competing with you. Yeah,
yes.
Flat out.
That sounds like a personal.
Flat out.
What's your issues got to do with me and my watch?
And she literally,
it's my fault you ain't got no money.
She looked at this man and said, you could never compete with me.
And you can't
compete where you go there. Period.
But we are living in a world now, and it's funny because Ayanla, the clip that Corey sent me, she pretty much said that women are now men in skirts.
Oh.
Because we are living in a world where we're not necessarily competing with men, but we have taken that role. And I just say we because I'm speaking just in generalization.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because, and I know why I do it. I do it because I am controlling and I want everything to go a certain way. So I don't necessarily give space to my husband to lead. Now he's going, I mean, if you listen, he's going to listen to the episode. I love you. He will never know. I will never make him feel like he is not leading. He is my leader.
Mm-hmm. Rightfully so.
However, the brain that I have, I can't necessarily just stand behind you and just be like, okay, I'm gonna just follow your lead. Nah, I'm like this behind you, like, wait, don't go there. No, let's go take a right, take a left, take a right.
So my homegirl, she's African. I'm not sure if you heard this proverb, Chi, but they said something to the extent of the man is the head, but the woman is the neck.
That's the Bible.
That was the Bible?
That's the Bible.
Is it now?
Yeah.
But I've heard that.
I'm very privy with the Bible. I don't know. But you know, an African man and my homegirl said this to me. I heard it twice.
Mm-hmm.
I got to look this up now because they said that the woman is the neck and the man is the head. Like the woman controls all that. You might have it. I'm sure you do somewhere, somehow. Okay. But I got this one.
Right.
So,
right.
But what? Oh, see, I gotta call my mama.